500,000 players fall for this trap or trick or opening in chess. So folks, I'm gonna teach you this so that you can win games yourself. Let's go and learn this opening right now. So we go e4. If they go d5, we go knight to f3. And if they go and take our pawn, we go knight to g5, challenging that pawn. And so they go knight to f6 to defend their pawn. When we go pawn to d3, they would proceed to take that pawn because they would gain another pawn after that. When we take their pawn, it's the Tennison Gambit. d3, h6 is a huge no-no because when we sacrifice their knight, they will take our knight. We would go sacrifice another piece, which is the bishop on g6. You can go here, 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 but just not here to defend the queen. And so if you undefend the queen, we take the queen and we won a full queen. In the other line that we saw, folks, what if they go and defend it with the bishop instead of the knight? And so we go knight to c3, and if they go knight to f6, try to defend it, we go queen to e2, and if they go here, it's a huge no-no. Because when we go queen to b5, a triple fork check, and also here attacking this pawn, they would need to go here to minimize pressure, and we would take the pawn. If we take the pawn, it's all dead for them. Because if they go bishop here, we will go bishop to b5, trying to pin the bishop to the king, and you cannot go here because I would take your king. We would go take the bishop, and if they're stupid enough, they will take it with a queen, and we're just gonna checkmate them. If they take up with the knight instead, we are winning by +5 points because we took the rook that is trapped earlier. Another line is from this position, queen to d5, defending the pawn with the queen instead of the bishop and the knight. And so we go pawn to d3. There's a line here when he goes knight to f6 because when we attack the queen, they cannot go anywhere with the queen to defend the pawn, and so we take the free pawn. And so they will not do that. Instead, if they take the pawn, then it is dead for them again. Because when we take the pawn, they see this free pawn, then they would take it because it is a free pawn. Right? No, it's not. Because when they go and take the pawn, we go and trap their queen. When we go and trap their queen, there's just one safe square left. We go and trade that queen after that safe square. They would have a bishop here because now we trap his rook. We go and take his rook. We have +5 points after that, and we are winning in that game. There is another line, pawn to f5, which I do not recommend. That is the worst move ever. When we go bishop to c4, taking advantage of that, they would go knight to h6, trying to develop, and we would go pawn to d3. They would take our pawn. We would castle involving a rook, and if they take another pawn, we would have huge development lead. We would have the knight, we would have the bishop, we would have the queen, we would have our king castle, while his pieces are just sitting back there, sitting ducks. We're just gonna win completely in the future after this game. If they play the Caro-Kann, then we will initiate the trap. If they go pawn to d5, we go pawn to d3, they will take our pawn, but that initiates that Tennison Gambit earlier. They will take another pawn, and now we have that Tennison Gambit. If knight to f6, we go take their pawn, that is another sacrifice because when we go bishop to g6, that undefends the queen. You cannot go here to defend your queen because of the bishop, and so if you take the pawn, I'll just take your queen anyway. So here take the queen, but if here takes, still take the queen, and we're winning. But if pawn to e6 trying to prevent that, then we would go take the pawn on h7. They would go bishop to e7, trying to develop their bishop. We would go queen to dh5, trying to make the pressure even more heavier to him on his rook. And so if they go knight to f6, when we take the knight, that's check, and that's a fork to the rook. If they go pawn to g6, trying to attack their queen, looking so smart right now, we just sacrifice our bishop. And if they take our bishop, we check him, and they go here, and we would go bishop to f4, trying to cut off the king on that side of the board. And so we'll move on to the other line, and the last opening that you can win up against using this opening is e6, the French defense. This is such a bad opening that players can fall on with. We go knight to f3, and so we go initiate the same trap. If they take it, we are in the Tennison Gambit again. If they take our next pawn, we will develop our bishop like the last time. And if they go bishop to e7, we would go pawn to h4, and then bishop takes knight. But if they go do that, they would have pressure on himself, who wouldn't do that. Instead, he can go pawn to h6, trying to kick away that annoying knight. Instead of going away with a knight, we can go queen here, which can lead to scholar's mate after. If they go bishop takes g5, if they take our knight, then we will take their bishop, and if they take our pawn, we would win a free rook. And in the other line, if they would go here, g6, trying to make it all smart again, then we will go bishop here. They will take, we will take again, and the same position will happen where we have the most advantage. And they could even get checkmated in one. If they go king to f8, we could checkmate them face to face, queen to f7. But what if they go knight to f6 instead? Then, when they go knight to f6, then we go queen to e2, and it's such a normal game, but we have the advantage to attack the queen, and so they would move the queen, and then the main game plan of this game, after we develop our knight on c3, then they would go pawn to h6. We would go back. If they would take their knight, we would take their knight, and we have a clean procedure of trying to checkmate them. But what if they go queen to f6 in this line? Trying to be smart right now. We go take the pawn with the knight. They would take our knight. And so when we x-ray the queen with bishop to g6, we go and take the queen after this move. And we win plus 3 points. But what if g6 happens? We would just sacrifice the bishop, and so that would be goodbye for him, because it's checkmate in one when we take the pawn. But so if they go king to e7, all is well for them. Nothing goes on. But we have the advantage because we have more pieces out on the board to attack him with our pieces on this side of the board. But what if they go knight to f6? Then we would just go and checkmate him. This is a simple scholar's mate. Okay, so guys, those are all the lines of the Tennison Gambit, and that's how you would win against players below 1800. You can win this against so many players. So folks, I hope if you learned something, you can like the video to motivate me to make more videos like this, and subscribe to make me do the same purpose also. See you guys in the next video. I hope you enjoyed this video. Peace out. So folks, to summarize everything up, the first line I have shown you is that this is the most popular line. And if they try to kick out our knight, which is very annoying for them, then we just go and take their queen early in the board in the game. And the other lines, I taught you about how to gain advantage of them. If they go bishop to f5 instead, try to protect their pawn with the bishop on the then we could go maybe even fork him at the end of this line over here. So it is such worth it. We could go win a rook or even checkmate an opponent on this side. So this is such a cool gambit to play with. But if they take with the knight, we'll win his rook anyway. So what if they defended with the queen? What if they take our pawn? We could make another trap. Free pawn win. Then they would take our free pawn on g2. Then we would trap his queen, because this is defended. You cannot take the bishop. And so if they go here, this would happen. And if they take, they would undefend this square because they take our queen with the bishop. Then we go take the pawn and we'll win with a rook and trap the rook. And if they go over there, I will take the rook. Next, I taught you about, guys, on how to win against other openings with this opening. So first is the Caro-Kann, and we win with this by going and trying to get the same line. After that, we execute the same line. And if they take our knight, we will go here, and then they would take our bishop, and we would execute again the ballistic missile over here, which the queen takes the d8 queen, which is our enemy queen. But what if they go pawn to here? Then we would go and take the pawn on h7. They will go bishop to e7, and then we would go queen to h5. And this line, I taught you guys about how to pressure everything over there on this side of the board. And then we would go and fork them with knight to f6, forking the rook while also checking the king. And so we go to the French defense. And here's are the line what I taught you to demolish it. So folks, they would go pawn to d5, and we would go for the bait again, looking for the same position like the Caro-Kann. h6 will happen. We cannot initiate the same thing because French defense is very, if they take our bait, then they could just go here and defend the queen, which makes it a trade again, and it's a normal game, and he has plus 3 points. We just blundered a knight. Instead of doing that, we would have another piece in the board like the queen on h5. And so we discussed on how the queen can demolish the black side of the board. And so if he goes something like a mistake here, they could go and be scholar mated. So if you really learned anything, please subscribe and like, and also thank you for just going through also the summary. That really helps me. And also, guys, that's it. I'm gonna finally go out with this video right now. So peace out.